alternate featured a piece called "How Wall Street Profits from the Criminalization of Immigrants and Lobbies for More to Be Locked Up."
Okay.
Okay. So what this piece had to do with were two Wall Street-backed companies. And the two companies are called Corrections Corporation of America and GEO Group. Now, these two companies both own private prisons throughout the United States, in up to 20 states, okay? And what both these companies did during the Bush administration is lobby politicians to create stricter legislation toward illegal immigrants. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example of what they did, and then I'm going to explain why it's such a big deal.
But I would like to pause to note that when Anna says stricter immigration, she made a fist. Stricter immigration policies. Okay, very visual, very good.
Okay. So after they lobbied the Bush administration, this is what the Bush administration did. For the first time, many of those picked up were charged with crimes such as falsifying identity documents for identity theft that carry long prison sentences rather than misuse of Social Security number, a misdemeanor. So the single change in enforcement of existing law created a potential market of over 10 million new felons almost overnight, multiplying the lucrative incarceration market for the private prison industry and sending a shockwave through immigrant-related communities across the country.
I would like to now pause to say that no screen has ever had more words on it than that one just did. Okay, but now let's go back to the substance of this. You see what they're doing? What they're doing is trying to make things more illegal so they'll have more inmates and make more of a profit.
Right. Now, these are private prisons, right, that are funded through our tax dollars. Okay? So the two victims of this, the immigrants and the taxpayers. So these bozos can get rich.
Yeah, and that's how it works. Look, this is the effort to privatize everything. You're privatizing war through the mercenaries like Blackwater, etc., Halliburton, so that in the past we used to have soldiers doing their own laundry. Now Halliburton charges $100 per load to do the laundry, okay? They charge an incredible amount of money for the food, the water which then is contaminated and hurts our soldiers. Then they want to privatize even things like the fire departments. And you saw what kind of a disaster that was a couple of weeks ago with that story where they let the house burn down because somebody hadn't paid a $75 fee. Now, that's a little different because it was a neighboring county that did that, right? But here, in this case, the prisons. And if you make money off of prisons, guess what? There are going to be people motivated to create more prisoners.
Yes.
And what are they going to do in this day and age? They're going to buy politicians to create more prisoners.
You want to know one of the recent politicians that they bought? Guess. I mean, come on. It's the most obvious thing in the world.
Well, first of all, it could be any Republican.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Jan Brewer. How does that makes all the sense in the world.
Of course.
Okay, and now just to give you an idea of how much money they're making, because of the Bush administration calling for stricter immigration laws, the Corrections Corporation of America annually brings in $1.69 billion. All right? GEO Group has an annual revenue of $1.17 billion. That's our taxpayer money.
Yeah. And then you wonder, like, we just turn around, we go like, oh, we have record amount of people in prison, the most in the world. How did that happen? Because we privatized the prisons.
Right.
Not all of them, but obviously a significant chunk here. It's a disastrous path. Government has a role. We can't outsource that role in certain important things like this, the public welfare. If we do, it leads to these perverse consequences.
Can I ask you something that's related to this story? So, look, we find illegal immigrants. They're not supposed to be here, so we want to deport them. And the reason why they're not supposed to be here is because they supposedly cost us a ton of money, right? So they cost us a ton of money because they're here. Why don't we just deport them? Why do we have to put them in prison for a significant amount of time and then pay our tax money to keep them in prison before deporting them? So spend more money on them. That's crazy.
It's crazy if you come at it from our perspective. If you come at it from the perspective of the GEO Group, it's the most rational thing in the world because they make more money doing this. And see, now I'm going to go on a longer diatribe. Democrats don't seem to understand what the problem is. They're constantly like flummoxed. What are people what's everybody worked up about? They don't understand the Tea Party. They don't understand progressives who are mad at the Obama administration. They're just constantly like, what? We're trying our best. Golly gee willikers, what's the problem? The problem is the system is deeply corrupt. Like, they've bought everything, and we're all screwed. We're all pawns in their game, okay? And we elected you to change that, but you're never going to. The jig is up, we know. You think Obama's going to come in and be like, no, that's it. We can't have private prisons. That's mental. I'm not allowing that.
That would be too strong.
Okay, no way. And you know what? I got out of that Axelrod interview. They're going to go towards the Republicans. There was a longer interview in the New York Times, Sunday New York Times Magazine that just came out. Peter Baker interviewed Obama and Axelrod and Rahm Emanuel and a lot of those people. Now, there's two branches, right? One branch is the Tom Daschle branch, which says, and there was a quote in the article from him saying this. You know what? We're going to have to accommodate the Republicans more. We're just going to have to go towards the middle, and we just didn't accommodate them enough. And then there's a second branch, God bless his heart, led by Ed Rendell, governor of Pennsylvania, who says, no, it's time to punch them in the mouth.
Right.
It's time to fight back, right? Now, you know which camp I'm in, right? Now, which way do you think Obama's going to go?
Given to the Republicans. But I don't get it. Why? What does he get out of that?
And by the way, I'm not just saying that because I'm frustrated with Obama. I'm not saying it even just based on past experience. I'm also basing it on the quotes that they gave in the article and the interview I had with Axelrod, where he didn't say, no, we're going to fight them. No, he didn't say we're going to take them on. He said, we'll have to see which direction, and there are some things that we can work with on the Republicans, controlling the deficit, et cetera. And what does that mean? That's word for cut Social Security. Right? Mm-hmm. And so they're going to go in that direction. And he said there is two main priorities. One of them is jobs. Of course, he has to say that. And number two is controlling the budget. That means I'm going to go towards the Republicans, and I'm going to cut spending. I'm going to cut Social Security. I'm going to cut Medicare. And then when we get frustrated about that, they will turn around and say, what could we do? The Republicans picked up so many seats in 2010. We didn't have a choice. No, your choice is to fight back. You have the bully pulpit. This is, in the scope of things, a small issue, although it's maddening, right? But you could take an issue like this and go, you see, I would do like a Glenn Beck like Oval Office addresses. Put up a chalkboard. Be like, okay, here's the GEO group, but don't get mental. Don't put Mao on there. Okay, here's the GEO group. Here's the other prison group. Mm-hmm. They make money by turning more Americans into prisoners. I'm going to stop that, okay? And then the Republicans can pull their hair and go, how could you do that? These are creating jobs for prison guards. They'll say crazy shit like that,
right.
Okay? And then you say, look, I'm going to keep on this war path, and you and I are going to go to war, and we're going to butt heads, and then we're going to let the American people decide, because then the polls will come in. Mm-hmm. And if the Republicans think their ass is on the line, they will back down. Now, a couple of times that Obama came out strong the first two times, I showed it to you every time, and every time, the Republicans back down. Mm-hmm. They will back down. But you have to show them that their ass is on the line. They're not going to go in that direction. They don't get it, man. We're so frustrated. Now, and we've talked about this before, I don't want to give money to the government because they're going to waste it. They're going to give it to GEO Group, and they're going to give it to the Wall Street guys. There's a huge story on tax liens that I'm not even going to get into here, right? But with the banks, they're foreclosing on people's houses by charging them excessive fees because they didn't pay the taxes that bailed out the banks. Okay, there's a lot of steps in between. Okay, but it's maddening. It's maddening. And what's the effort to fight back on this? The SEC, puts up a flag, says, "Oh, we got Mozilla." I've now done that in 3 different shows because it drives me crazy. The guy made $577 million robbing us blind, and that led to foreclosures, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of foreclosures of real Americans losing their homes. And it didn't matter. Look, one of the things I was going to tell you about how I'm going to be a sleeper cell inside these bubbles, okay? They put me up at the Ritz-Carlton, okay? God bless their hearts. Lovely frickin' place, okay? I'm sitting there and eating a meal because it's on them. Otherwise, I'd never eat there. It's way too expensive. A bread basket is $19. Okay. You know what a bread basket is in other places? $0.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. It's fucking crazy. Anyway, and I swear to you, there's a conversation over here of like, oh, millions of dollars, oh, 20 million, 80 million, 100 million. There's another conversation over here, oh, should we spend 80 million or 60 million? And then there's another rich couple over here that reeks of old money. I'm like, oh, man, old money, okay? And because the people that are eating here, they don't know what to do with their money, okay?
Right.
And so, and it's like, please, plus the great Papa, right? Those people, they don't feel your pain. And I'm overgeneralizing here, and honestly, I'm being a little unfair because I just caught snippets of the conversation. But you think they're worried about all the people who lost their homes? You think they're worried about the immigrants who got caught up for profit and locked up and taken away from their families? You think they gave it a fucking second of thought? They didn't give it any thought at all. And you get crunched up, and then you get frustrated. And then when you get frustrated, people like the Obama administration turn around and go, what's all the fuss about? Well, if you don't understand that pain, well, then you don't I guess you don't, that's why you don't get what the fuss is about. We elected you to fight for these guys, for us, for all the people who are getting crunched, not to worry about what Wall Street's saying about you. They say you're anti-business. In another article I read, they said, Peter Orszag came out, or it was the same New York Times article, actually. Peter Orszag came out of the administration. He was the budget director. And he says, I thought the business community was on a scale of 1 to 10 was at an 8 against us. It turns out they're at a 10 against us. Who cares? They should be at a 20 or 100 against you. It's Wall Street, the guys who robbed us. If they're not at 28 against you on a scale of 1 to 10, then you didn't play it right. Stop worrying about what they're going to say about you. It's like the cops looking around every day and going, oh, you think the robbers don't like us today? Imagine the NYPD sitting around, okay, being like, oh, what did the thieves say about us today? What did the pickpocket motherfucker say about us today? Okay? No, you grab a baton and you get to work, okay? You don't worry about what the criminals are going to say about you. If the criminals are happy with the cops, then the cops are not doing their job. That's what you don't get. Now, was that enough of a rant that you triggered?